The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
A-list celebrity and recording artist Cardi B facing an intense civil trial in Los Angeles. She's being sued by security guard Imani Ellis, who alleges Cardi violently, unlawfully, intentionally, suddenly, and maliciously assaulted her during a private appointment at a Beverly Hills OB/GYN's office in 2018, claiming repeated blows to her head, face, and body, as well as spitting, slurs, and emotional devastation. Cardi's legal team vigorously denies the allegations, insisting Ellis initiated a profanity-laced confrontation and that no physical contact occurred. The case, fraught with explosive testimony and graphic claims, is now unfolding in court, and we will show you what happened in day one. But first, the murder of Florida State University law professor Dan Markel shocked Tallahassee and sent ripples through the legal community. On a July morning in 2014, Markel was gunned down in his driveway, a calculated execution tied to a bitter custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. For years, investigators unraveled the tangled web of family disputes, hitmen, and secret payments until suspicion fell on Wendy's mother, Donna Adelson. Prosecutors allege she was the mastermind orchestrating the murder to solve her daughter's problems and keep her grandchildren close. Now, as her trial is underway, the courtroom is bracing for bombshells. Donna, once the matriarch of a prominent family, facing the chilling accusation of ordering her son-in-law's death. And tonight, we are live from Tallahassee as Donna's daughter, Wendy Adelson, testifies. We have all the latest. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Whoo, what a day inside the courtroom down in Tallahassee in the case involving the murder of a man named Dan Markel. Dan Markel, let's start with him. This guy was a real father, okay? There are some people who are fathers, like biologically, but they really don't want to be in their children's lives, or they don't support their kids, or they're not there, or they don't spend time with their kids, etc., etc., etc. That's not Dan Markel. For Dan Markel, the most important thing in his life were his two boys. And he wanted to raise them. And he wanted to be in their lives. He wanted to spend time with them. He wanted to tuck them in at night. But he and his wife got divorced, so it became an issue on how much time he could spend with his boys, where he would spend time with them, and where the boys would live eventually. So it became a battle. But it was a battle because this was a dad who wanted to be there. And that's a great thing. Now, Wendy Adelson, his ex, the mother of the children, she was fighting to move. She wanted to relocate down to South Florida. That's where her family's from. She was in Tallahassee because Dan, or Danny as she called him, was a law professor. She's a lawyer also, but she wasn't a law professor like Dan was at Florida State University. It's a great job. Being a law professor is a great job. It's prestigious, etc. But you've got to be where the work is. And for him, it was Florida State University, which is in Tallahassee. And Wendy was from South Florida. Her parents, her brother, you know, her mother all lived down there. And that's where she wanted to be. Speaking of her mother, I would call her sort of a meddling mother, Donna Adelson. Very involved in Wendy's life. And that's okay. You want good relationships. You also want your children to be able to live their lives when they become adults. But that wasn't exactly the way Donna did it. So she was a meddling mother, involved in everything. This breakup and this custody battle became very important for her as well. But now, you know, Donna's on trial for orchestrating the murder of Dan Markel, and Wendy back on the stand. Wendy Adelson. And the question is, will Wendy sink Donna? Will the testimony of her own daughter, the woman that she was allegedly orchestrating this murder for, so she could have custody and the grandkids and everyone would move down to South Florida, is a witness for the prosecution. Now, she has immunity for what she says on the stand, and she has immunity from anything that you could figure out based upon her testimony on the stand. So she is a witness called by the prosecution, but I wouldn't call her necessarily someone who was out there to get Wendy, to get Charlie, to get all these people, because it may very well in the end implicate her in some way. Let's bring in Court TV anchor Julie Janae, who's joining us live tonight from Tallahassee, Florida. Great to see you. What a day. It's always a big moment at the murder trials of Dan Markel, because, you know, we've had a bunch of them, when Wendy Adelson testifies, because this is the person who this is all about, right? She was the one in the battle with Dan Markel. But what was Donna's involvement? What level of involvement did Donna have in this divorce? What did we hear about today?
Vinny, we learned a lot about Donna, the mother, how involved she was in this divorce, the emails, the messages, the way that she wanted to know everything happening in the divorce proceeding. I feel like I learned a lot more about just how involved she was in these filings. She's not the lawyer. Wendy is the lawyer. Dan Markel is the lawyer. But she was asking her daughter to send her all of the filings before they were filed so that she could make edits and make corrections and send it back to Wendy, who would then send it to her divorce attorney to eventually go to court. I mean, that's another level of meddling when you really think about it. But in terms of this divorce, what the prosecution wanted to emphasize, and they did a lot more this time around with Wendy on the stand, how much Donna Adelson wanted Wendy and the boys to be in South Florida, not in Tallahassee. Take a listen.
I wanted to develop this plan of action that could be implemented between the time you learned of the relocation denial and your final hearing in court to maybe strong-arm Mr. Markel into agreeing to the relocation. Do you remember that email?
Yes.
Okay, and she had some ideas for how to do that, right?
Yes.
And she said Jibbers hasn't beaten the Adelson family yet. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So what was her plan of action? What did she suggest you could do to get Dan Markel to relent and let you take his kids to South Florida?
She suggested that I pretend that the boys had become Christian.
Is that something you would ever consider doing?
No.
She was going to pay for them to get instruction on the Christian faith, right?
That was what she said.
And she said she looked into it and she could get them baptized in a couple weeks. Do you remember that?
I don't remember, but I'm sure it's here.
Do you remember her imploring you to put on a good act?
I do.
Did your mom, I don't know, do you have any acting training?
No.
Do you know why your mom would Google how to teach an actress emotion?
I don't know.
Did she ever share with you or forward you any tips on how to bring emotion or fake emotion?
Not that I remember of any kind.
All right. What about a financial offer? Was that part of it as well?
Yes.
What was the financial offer to be?
I think it was $1 million.
Who was going to pay the $1 million?
My mom, my dad, and my brother.
And they were going to pay $1 million. You didn't have to pay any of it?
I don't remember having to pay any of it.
Okay. And they were going to give Dan Markel $1 million for what?
So that I could relocate.
Okay. Did you ever make that offer to Dan Markel?
No.
To your knowledge, did anyone make it to him?
I don't think so.
Would it have worked?
I don't think so.
What we were left with after Wendy's testimony is that she was in this bitter custody battle, but it seemed like her mother was more bitter and relentless about Dan Markel than she was. And there was also this mention of Charlie Adelson, the brother in this case. And I've noticed this now a few times from the prosecution. They want to make sure this jury sees how downplayed Charlie's importance is in this plot. Of course, he was front and center 2 years ago, but take a listen to basically the prosecution saying that he's not the one that would have had a strong motive unless his mother urged him to do it.
What about your brother, Charlie? Did he care about whether you moved to South Florida or not?
I think so. I mean, I think he would have liked for me to be closer to him and have the kids closer to him.
Would it have been okay with him if you had made a decision to stay in Tallahassee?
I would have imagined so, yes.
And after the relocation motion was denied, you were kind of like, well, maybe I have to stay in Tallahassee. Wasn't there at least a moment of that for you?
I mean, it wasn't maybe, that was the court's decision, and I respect the court's decision, and, you know, I would make the best of it.
What about Charlie? Was he outraged by the court's decision?
I honestly don't remember him being outraged.
But to your mom, it was a big deal.
My mom was really upset.
Vinnie, I think it's a strong move by the prosecution, because if you have a man who's already been convicted, proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he's involved in this plot, and then they downplay why he would do it, what you're left with is Donna Adelson, his mother, that he talked to hours upon hours every day and week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is potentially devastating, some of this testimony. How about the testimony about the TV? That was a big deal in all of this.
Oh, yeah, we've been hearing about the TV for years now, and I saw the jurors writing a little bit more during opening statements and during the cross-examination today, or the direct examination about the TV, because this is a code word that the prosecution says the Adelsons were using for Dan Markel, the murder specifically of Dan Markel, because it was included in Charlie's bad joke about it was cheaper to get you this TV than to hire a hitman. And then you started seeing it or hearing about it on the wiretap calls when they didn't want to say what the bump was about, but they said the TV cost $5,000. Let's listen back to a moment.
Did your brother joke about hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel?
He did make that joke.
What was the joke specifically?
My brother had bought me a TV as a divorce present, and he would make the joke that the TV was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
On the morning of the murder, did you have an appointment at your residence on Aqua Ridge?
I did.
What was the nature of that appointment?
I had an appointment with the Geek Squad. There were some vertical lines on the TV. I didn't know if maybe one of my kids had tapped it or touched it, but it wasn't working. And so I had an appointment, and they were scheduled to come sometime between 8 and 12.
Dan Markel was killed between 8 and 12, right?
He was.
That now. Did you ever use the term TV as code for the murder in any context?
No.
Did you ever hear your mom do that, other than the recordings in this case?
No.
So she didn't talk to you about the TV?
No.
Wendy was emphatic a few times on the stand today, saying that she was not involved in the murder of Dan Markel. When she left the stand today, Vinnie, she stopped. As she was leaving, before she left, she leaned over to hug her father, Harvey Adelson, who was sitting there in the gallery supporting his wife, one of the only defense supporters that we've seen.
And was it a little icy between mom and daughter, or what happened there?
I felt that there was a demeanor change with Wendy. During her direct examination, it seemed like she was very protective of her mother in a way. Anything she was asked about her mother's anger or her mother's displeasure with Danny, she would couch it, say, I don't remember that. But then on cross-examination, when Jackie Fulford started lighting into her about perhaps being the one who's involved, it felt like on redirect she was a lot less protective of her mother, and I didn't notice any necessarily greetings when she exited after she passed on the table.
All right. Let's talk about Donna's other son, Rob, the one who became estranged from his family because he didn't marry a Jewish woman. He married an Indian woman, right? And he testified today?
this is quite a moment, Vinny. I mean, you could feel it in the courtroom because there's so many people here who have followed all of these trials. They've been watching all of the details. So to see Rob Adelson on the stand, this was the first time that he's ever spoken out in a courtroom, and it's very rare even that he's done interviews. He's done maybe 1 or 2 podcasts here and there, but other than that, we have not heard this much from Rob Adelson. So today we heard him talk about his mother and how she was. That was what the prosecution was able in pretrial motions to get out, to say that this is probative. He can talk about how his mother was in her children's lives. Take a listen.
Leader in the family, who tends to run the show?
I think my mom.
Okay, so Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Would you describe Donna Adelson's personality as being more controlling or more laid back?
I think more on the controlling side.
And there was another moment, Vinny, that I really want to show you that I saw jurors taking notes of and looking at each other, glancing to each other as if it meant a lot to them that he said this. And this was back in time when his mother told him not to talk to police. This was after the death of Dan Markel. He had gotten a call from his mom saying this is what happened, but he didn't get a lot of details, and he thought that was curious.
After that conversation with, you said it was the FBI earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay. After that conversation with the FBI, did Donna Adelson ever say anything to you about having talked to law enforcement or the FBI?
It was either that afternoon or the next day, but, and she called me and said, just want to let you know, if the police come around, don't talk to them.
Okay, so she told you not to talk to law enforcement.
Correct.
Did you let her know that you already had talked to law enforcement?
Yeah, I said I already did.
And what did she say to that?
She said, oh, well, you don't know anything anyway.
You don't know anything anyway?
Correct.
And that's when I saw those jurors looking back and forth at each other, a little bit surprised that she would have said that. So that might have meant a lot to them, Vinny.
Oh, yeah. Like anyone that has a little bit of common sense, right? This jury is like, oh, my goodness. All right, Julie Janae's going to stick around. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Oh, wow. Al, she looked into baptizing the boys. What does that tell you about Donna Adelson? I don't hear you, Al.
Thank the Lord.
All right, we're gonna go back to Al. Darnell, $1 million made Donna Adelson sound like Dr. Evil. $1 million. Yes. What are your thoughts?
Yes. I mean, it just wasn't a good day. And the funny thing about it was you had people that are related to her testifying. The tone is very monotone. You can tell they're being truthful. They know this is hurting her, but the position that they're in, they're just giving it to the court as it comes. And it's quiet and it's subtle, but it's lethal.
Yeah, Jennifer Brandt, like, Mom was the only one that was like super upset about losing the relocation. Mom wants to offer $1 million. Mom wants to baptize the boys to bust his chops. And then the estranged son comes in and returns to talk about how controlling she is and how, oh, well, you don't know anything anyway. Oh, my goodness.
Vinny, this is not so unusual because in family law matters, their grandparents are oftentimes very invested in cases, and they do care sometimes about custody. It seems more than the party themselves, their child. So I don't think that to me is normal. Where it goes beyond that is the hitman and all of that. I mean, for sure. But other than that, that happens. Grandparents are sometimes right behind the scenes and more invested in these cases than their own children. So.
All right, Darnell, your dreams is now coming true. We've hooked up with Al. Go ahead, Al.
All right. Well, that's good. Vinny, I got to tell you that this whole situation is just remarkable to me. I mean, this woman, you could tell she's plotted this entire thing. She's laid this whole thing out. Now she's watching her daughter turn away from her. I mean, to say that they were going to get the children baptized in order to be able to keep, the husband, the father of these children, just off balanced and away it's just frightening to me that this woman would go to any length whatsoever to drive a wedge between the kids and their father, and then the ultimate is having him executed, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
I don't think she's going to do well in this trial. I mean, it really looked to me that that everyone's abandoned her, and rightly so.
Yeah, but and perhaps telling the truth about it all, right? She controlled this family. To me, that was so compelling from Rob. She was in charge of the family, not Harvey. Harvey just made the money. Donna was in charge. And this is a murder for hire plot. All right, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, did Wendy Adelson, who's testified like 4 times now, but never been implicated, did she implicate herself today? Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates baby Emmanuel Harrow was reported abducted by his parents, but then they were arrested for his murder. And now his father was out searching with detectives. Where is baby Emmanuel? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Welcome back. Big day down in Tallahassee, the trial of Donna Adelson, the matriarch of the Adelson family, accused of orchestrating the murder for hire. Let's go back to Court TV anchor Julia Janae, who is live at the courthouse. Okay, we're talking about the testimony of daughter Wendy. She's never been charged. Was she aware of what was happening the day of the murder? What does the testimony seem to tell us today?
That's the million-dollar question, right, Vinny? How much did she know? Will prosecutors at some point charge her? Even though she has this immunity inside of the courtroom, it doesn't mean it's transactional, doesn't mean she can never be charged. And inside of this courtroom, you could tell that prosecutors wanted to make sure they streamlined their direct examination. They don't want to go too far outside because everything that she says in court is what can't be used against her in the future. She was asked about, though, what she knew about Dan Markel's movements the day that he was attacked. And we saw the first layer of this being laid by Luis Rivera, the admitted hitman in this case. And he, for the first time on Friday, said Wendy's name when he was asked, how did you know what day to choose to go and commit this crime? And here's what Wendy said when she was asked about it on direct examination.
Was Mr. Markel scheduled to leave town the day after he was killed?
I don't remember if he was scheduled to leave town on Friday afternoon or on Saturday morning, but I know that he would go to New York every time he had a chance, and I think that was where he was going. But I don't know when he was leaving.
Okay, if you'll take a look at not the binder we've been using, but the other binder, should have your law enforcement interview on the front.
He had plans to be out of town. He was leaving on Saturday.
Okay.
So it looks like I knew that he was leaving Saturday.
All right. And you knew he was planning to go to New York?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how, if the killers knew that he was leaving town the next day, do you know how that information got to them?
I don't.
Did your brother Charlie know that information?
I don't know
knowledge?
I don't know if he knew that information.
Did your mother know that information?
My mom usually knew our schedule, so she probably would have known that I was going to have the boys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means she knew he was going to be out of town, but she would have known that I had the boys.
So it's twofold. This jury learning that not only did Wendy know exactly Dan Markel's travel schedule, but Donna may have known as well. They also heard that Wendy passed by this crime scene not too long after it happened. She was on her way to get liquor from the ABC store, and she took a route that would have taken her along the same driveway or along the same road where she lived, and Dan Markel's car was in the driveway. And she said that she was turned around. She never called anyone to see what was wrong. She didn't call to check on her sons, who would have still been living in this house that she used to live in. And you heard her mention there about Donna knowing as well. So it runs afoul of what we've already heard in this case about her not having any involvement, because in her police interview, Vinnie, she was very forthcoming, it seemed, with information about her family. She's the one who said, my brother might be someone who would be very angry at Dan and may have wanted him dead.
Wow, this is such a strange dynamic. I've never been able to quite piece together this family. All right, let's talk about the woman who brokered all of this, right? Catherine McBanowa, Katie McBanowa. She's like the middle person putting this deal together, this murder for hire. Did Wendy know her?
Is she the go-between? Is she the solicitor? She's something and facilitator of all of this. And yes, this jury has learned that Catherine McBanowa and Wendy Adelson spent time together, and they did it pretty recent to the murder. Now, this is a photo of Charlie and Catherine McBanowa together. And something interesting that came out today is that there was a text message that Charlie sent to Wendy, and it included a picture of him with Katie, and it was around Halloween. That's the time that someone who hasn't taken the stand yet, Jeff Lacasse, a man who was dating Wendy, said that she first told him Charlie's looking into a hitman to kill Dan, and this was many months before the murder actually took place. But take a listen to Wendy getting asked about Katie.
Katie McBanowa, Catherine McBanowa, I guess people call her Katie. There was a picture of you with her at the beach, and there was another young lady there. You recall that?
I recall the picture, yes.
And that was Father's Day weekend, I guess, of 2014?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think your testimony was that really you only knew her with Charlie, is that right?
That's right.
Was Charlie at the beach?
No.
Your mother wasn't there either, was she?
No.
Vinnie, I don't think I remembered from the last trial, and I don't know if they dug into it as much, that she would have been alone with Katie. I thought they were all together, but this wasn't the only time that she hung out with her, so the prosecution bringing that out, but they can't use what they get inside of the courtroom, but it could be signaling to us what may happen in the future.
Yeah, well, none of this can be used against Wendy. Amazing. Now, there was some testimony about Wendy lying to her parents.
Cross-examination. This was a different cross-examination than last year. And when I say last year, I mean 2 years ago at Charlie's trial, the last trial in this case. Daniel Rashbaum asked her some softball questions, and her cross-examination was done. A totally different story with defense attorney Jackie Fulford with Wendy on the stand. I mean, it got heated. It ended with her saying, you want someone prosecuted who's responsible, including yourself, meaning Wendy. But take a listen to another testy exchange.
Ms. Adelson, if you look at that order that's entered by the court, besides saying it's denied, it says something pretty important, and I think the state pointed this out in its opening. It says that this denial is with prejudice.
Yes, ma'am.
Of the wife's petition for request to relocate with the minor children. And you're a lawyer, so you know that with prejudice means this is done. This topic in this divorce is over.
Yes, with prejudice means it's a final decision of the court.
But what it says right before that is, as such, the parties stipulate to the denial with prejudice of the wife's petition. You see that?
Yes, I do.
So what happened is after the judge says, if their toenails haven't been pulled out, I'm not thinking relocation, you actually stipulated to denial with prejudice, right?
Yes.
You did not tell your parents that you stipulated to denial with prejudice, did you?
I don't remember any conversation there, really.
So, not knowing that it was denied with prejudice, your mother thought you still had an opportunity to get it up through your final hearing, right?
I believe so.
And so she kept writing these ugly things and giving you all of these ugly suggestions, right?
She did write those emails.
If you had told her you stipulated with prejudice, that's probably not what you wanted, Mom, but that would have been the end of it, right?
I don't know. I would just be guessing.
Vinnie, this stood out to me because it's so testy, but I don't know what it's probative about. If Wendy lied to Donna about being on board with staying in Tallahassee, doesn't that still give Donna Adelson more motive to want to carry out a murder because she didn't know that her daughter wanted to stay? I'm not sure what the purpose was other than to just mess with the credibility of Wendy in front of these jurors.
Yeah, it's a little convoluted, but it does make her out to be someone who's not being straight with her mom. her meddling mom. You can't lie to Donna. How dare you? Julie Janae, thank you so much. I know it's a long day for you, and we appreciate it. All right, let's bring back in our think tank Al Wunsch, Darnell, Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Jennifer, all this evidence that seems to implicate Wendy, does that help Donna at all?
Well, I don't know if it helps Donna for sure in her case, because, I mean, we look at her actions separate and apart from Wendy. But, you know, perhaps it makes the jury feel a little bit more sympathetic to her, that it's really all her daughter is causing, and she is just the meddling mother, the involved mother that just wants to help her daughter. That's, you know, from that perspective, but I don't think it ultimately help her in this case.
Al, what do you think about that relationship? Like, the jury's looking at this family and trying to figure them out, right? And here we've got Wendy lying to Donna, Wendy testifying to things that make her seem like she knows what's happening that day. Does any of that, from your perspective, help Donna, or does it just make the whole family look horrific?
Yeah, it absolutely makes the family look horrific. I mean, it just demonstrates that this was a family that there was no communication. They were keeping secrets from each other. They were trying to live what they wanted to do. And I really think it was her trying to break away from mom to a certain extent, and seeing that her mother was so obsessed with this that she needed to get the space from what was going on and the poison that was being pumped by her mother. I mean, her mother was just on top of this just from the beginning all down. And it looks to me like she needed to break free.
Yeah. Darnell, Al used all your time.
Facts.
But the good news is, get ready, Darnell. When we come back, I want to hear what you have to say about Cardi B on trial in a courtroom out in L.A. What is going on?
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
I said something along the lines of, that looks like Cardi B, or wow, that's Cardi B. She turned back around, and the first thing out of her mouth was, excuse my language, was, why the are you telling people that you seen me? At this time, I tried to calm her down and assure her that I didn't tell anyone that I seen her, and she was extremely upset.
You were at the building and Cardi B exited the elevator on February 24th, 2018. What were the words that she used that were so hurtful?
She used a lot of words, and again, excuse my language, but she was like, you fat ass, so I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna get you fired. This, that, that's why you do security. That's why you do security. She was sticking her tongue out. She was flailing her arms up and down. She was jumping up and down. Body shaming me. I mean, racial slurs, just a lot.
And did she spit on you?
She did.
Did her spit actually land on your body?
It did.
Did the defendant take a swing at you?
She did.
When she took a swing at you, it didn't hit your body, correct?
No.
Did the defendant use her fingernails to cut your face?
She did.
That is the plaintiff in a civil suit. She is suing Cardi B for this alleged attack that happened at an OBGYN office. Cardi B was there. She's going to have to testify, Cardi B. She's supposed to testify tomorrow. It's a civil case. So, you know, it's not a criminal case. We know that she's going to take the stand. We believe it'll happen tomorrow. Let's take a listen to the other side of this story from Cardi B's attorney in the opening statement.
In late February 2018, Cardi was about 4 months pregnant with her first child, excuse me. It was early in her pregnancy. She came out to Los Angeles for work, basically, related to the NBA event. And she asked a friend, or she asked someone to recommend a gynecologist. She wanted to just check. And so she made an appointment, or an appointment was made for her, to see a gynecologist at a medical building in Beverly Hills. They took special steps to make sure this was private. The evidence will show that plaintiff had her phone to her ear when the elevator opened as Cardi was trying to make her way to her doctor's office. She was a patient. And the plaintiff stated out loud, "Wow, that was Cardi B." Cardi turned around and saw the plaintiff holding up her phone, filming or photographing her. And Cardi said, "Why are you doing that? Why do you think you can photograph me? Just steps away from my doctor's office." And the evidence will show that plaintiff's response was a belligerent "because I can." Now, you will hear evidence that plaintiff continued to follow Cardi as Cardi tried to get to her doctor's office. Evidence that the plaintiff continued to yell at Cardi. That when people from the doctor's office came out and told plaintiffs to stop, saying, "You're a security guard, what are you doing?" That plaintiff continued, and when someone intervened and got between them, plaintiff started taking swings at Cardi B. As Cardi B backed up and backed up, Cardi B was, facing someone, with all respect, who testified and admitted that she was 240, 250 pounds, wearing black military boots, hovering over Cardi, yelling and screaming at her and taking swings at her, trying to get to her beyond the person who was trying to intervene and trying to calm things down. Now, I don't take any pleasure in saying this, but there will be evidence that it was plaintiff who yelled, "I will your up." That's when someone intervened and dragged plaintiff to an elevator and said, "You have to leave. You have to leave." You will hear Cardi's testimony that she both feared for her unborn baby. This was her first pregnancy, and a very large woman was advancing towards her, and she was utterly confused that a security guard would be her attacker. Importantly, plaintiff has repeatedly changed her story over the last 7 years.
All right, let's bring back in our think tank, Darnell Crosland. What's going on here? How does the jury figure it out? I heard two completely different accounts of what happened here.
Yeah, it's a civil case. So, the burden of proof is low, preponderance. So they got to try to tip the scale. And they have the burden as the plaintiffs. In this particular case, the idea is you're looking at this opening statement. When I'm listening to it, it's actually stating that this exchange took place with the picture, with the photos, with the security guard following Cardi. So that's all lining up. And I think, even though this is not a criminal case, it was sort of shaping up to the point where he was trying to articulate that she had no choice but to defend herself because she was being attacked by this 250-pound woman in all black, which is, so I didn't really like the opening that well. But at the end of the day, it comes down to money. And this woman is going to have to prove that she was injured, she suffered damages, and it was because Cardi did something to her that Cardi was not permitted to do. And it looked like the lawyer was trying to flip it, saying that she was just trying to defend herself from this attack.
Jennifer Brand, what did you think of the plaintiff in her testimony, the security guard, Imani Ellis?
I think the plaintiff is very believable. You hear the opening, it's completely different. I agree with Darnell. We just have to hear the rest of the evidence. But to see the plaintiff on the stand, it seemed plausible what she was saying, and her testimony was credible. What actually happened, I'm sure there will be other evidence presented. According to defense, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of evidence presented that her story doesn't line up to what she's saying. But on the stand, just speaking out, she seemed to be, pretty believable.
All right, Al, advantage or disadvantage? Cardi B. She's a superstar. She is a pop star. She's a celebrity. She's on the A-list. Advantage or disadvantage in this?
It'll be an advantage, and it's she's a former neighbor of mine, so I feel for her. But if I was and asking Darnell questions about Cardi B is really unique.
Al, I just got to ask you, Al, when you moved into the neighborhood, did they complain? Is that when she left to go to L.A.?
No. She moved into my neighborhood, Okay. And But asking Darnell about Cardi B, he's a Vanilla Ice Marky Mark guy. But what I would have done was I would have started with, if I was the plaintiff, I would have got up there and I would have just read some of her lyrics. I would have said, I'm young and I'm heartless. Okay, flexing on bees as hard as I can. In the food chain, I'm the one that eats ya. Okay, be careful with me. If I see you and I don't speak, that means I don't F with you. I'm a boss. You a worker, B. I make bloody moves.
Are you speaking to Darnell directly right now?
No. If I was speaking to Darnell, I would just go, ice, ice, baby. Dun, 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 dun,
All right,
dun.
Darnell,
Vinny,
can Cardi B turn this around for herself?
Absolutely. And for one, I'm from the Bronx. She's from the Bronx. If Al turned on his television once, you see that I represent her nail tech now. Cardi and I go way back. She's a great woman. In terms of Al doesn't even know what chopped cheese. Al doesn't even know what chopped cheese is. And Cardi is the coin. He coined chopped cheese. Now in terms of flipping this, she can certainly flip this. And I think one thing we have to remember is this: that people are always looking for a cash grab. So when these sue celebrities and it's for money like this, and she's saying that she got scratched by her nails, that she felt upset, all that, I think Cardi has an advantage here. She can just flip this by just saying, listen, I'm going to my doctor. It was not a concert. It's a private moment. She's supposed to protect and serve me, and she's pulling her camera
out of time. Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brand, Al Wunsch, great to have you aboard. Thanks so much. When we come back, I'll reveal something else you need to know.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look. Oh, my goodness. Under arrest in underwear. We're talking about pop sensation Lil Nas X, arrested after walking down the streets of L.A. in his underwear and then later completely nude. TMZ obtained videos of Lil Nas X walking down the street in his underwear and his cowboy boots, matching, by the way, as one video where he is completely naked. Take a look.
Nah. Hey, don't be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at. Nah, go ahead, babe. Nah.
Get this straight. Wait, I'm the rookie? But my features and my shows 10 times your pay. 50K for a verse, no album out.
All right, he was charged. That's his first appearance, but he was given bond. He pleaded not guilty. And we'll keep an eye on Lil Nas X as his case makes its way through our system of justice. Wow. All right, take a look at your screens, folks. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Robynn Dixon. She's 15 years old, missing out of Whitehall, Pennsylvania since August 21st. Here's what you need to do. Pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST. Or you can call the Whitehall Police Department in Pennsylvania. That number is on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Robynn to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.